The wait is over. It's time for the hottest sports talk show on the internet. And sports and entertainment. It's grown folks. Sports talk with your host, Steve Johnson.
Hey, what's going on, y'all? Today, how is it going? It is Sunday. It is July 19th. It is hot outside. It's real hot outside. Had to come inside for a little bit. It was one of those days you figure, hey, maybe we can go out and walk around and do something like that. But good Lord, that steam, once that steam gets to you, man, it's not a whole lot you can do. So I figured, I said, let me come in here and holler at my folks because I had some stuff to talk about when we concerning these Falcons. Look, before everyone even gets there, listen, I understand what's going on. It's a slight chance we may not get a chance to have this season like we want to. Some important stuff came out earlier this week about season ticket holders, which of course is near and dear to my heart, about the options that we have, but also something where they were talking about a possibility of maybe having some type of, I don't want to say lottery, or some type of survey where they see who wants to go to the games and from there decide, have a drawing according to the email, have a drawing and see exactly who can come. I think that's a pretty interesting idea if you want to go there. But everything I'm talking about is on the premise as if we're 100% all full go to have a full NFL season. So that's the premise we're going to go with, in case you all say, but Steve, the COVID-19, it might not happen. We're going on the premise that it does. What's up, brother Tidy? How you doing, man? Tonio, how you doing, brother Philip? What is going on, man? Good to see y'all. Good to talk to y'all. Later on, once we get things started, I would love to hear from y'all for a brief second or two. 678-583-8328 if you all want to chime in for a couple of seconds to holler. I'm not going to be on super long tonight, but I did want to bring up a couple of things that I thought were just very interesting as far as the perception of the Atlanta Falcons to the rest of the nation. Brother Perry, how you doing, man? I'm surprised you are off. So I'm glad to have you coming in, brother. Good to see you come in. Brother Damon Smith, it ain't the Saints, brother. And I'm glad that you're here to listen to this. Brother Ron Thomas, how you doing, man? I'm glad you listen to this because here's my biggest thing. I do this every summer. What's on, Brother James? How you doing from Kentucky? Rise up, man. Every year, just being the fool that I am, I go out and buy these magazines. Y'all seen them before. This one's Athlon, and the other one is Street and Smith. And we'll go through both of them in a second. And I always punish myself every year by buying these magazines and trying to see who's not going to pick the Falcons to do anything this year. And again, I go and I disappoint myself, and I just am saying, is it going to be one magazine that takes an opportunity to take a chance on the Falcons to see if we're going to be good, and it never ends up happening. And this year is no exception. Brother Chip, what's going on, man? Your show is going to be as quick as your show will be today. Okay. Philip, what kind of effect do you think the absence of fans will have on our Falcons? Well, it'll be interesting to see. I think football is definitely one of those sports that you gotta have some type of fan reaction. Philip, I think about our brother that got caught pumping in the music to the Falcons stadium. They might want to hire him back because all the NFL stadiums are going to be looking for something. Because look, Philadelphia has already dropped out. They're saying they're not going to have fans at all this year. I have a sneaky suspicion that the closer we get into the football season, depending on the rise or the fall of the COVID-19 cases we have, there are going to be fewer and fewer teams that will invite the fans in. Just because you don't want that liability, I don't want to be that first stadium that says, all right, we invited 30,000 people in, and then after the game, find out 400 people were infected or 400 people have the COVID. It's going to be a tough situation. The NFL, there are some geniuses in there. Marketing wise, I'm pretty sure some of the teams have some ideas. I think you're going to hear a lot of music. I think you're going to hear a lot of music. I think you're going to hear a lot of pomp and circumstance around them. Obviously, the families will probably be able to attend, but I think the NFL will find some type of way to incorporate some fans into the stadium. Chip says, correction, your season is going to be as quick as your show will be today. Here's the thing about Chip, y'all, just to let y'all know, Chip is probably in his feelings because after bandwagon riding the New England Patriots for all these years, and I'm joking, he's been a fan since we were in high school, but his main man, Mr. Brady, decided to take his talents down to Tampa. So he's going to be crying with us this year. And I'm telling you right now, Chip, we do have a seat on the bandwagon. You can come on and join us. Look, you can even purchase a jersey. You see, I got my new Debo jersey on, 45. Look for some big things out of him. So come on with it. Rusty says, what are we talking about, Steve? Just joined. We just started, Rusty. We're talking about these predictions that these national magazines have about where the Falcons will lie, where they're end up at the end of the year. Brother RJ rides up. How you doing? Tidy said that was coincidental. Roddy White, who got caught with the fake noise, not 84. When I first saw that story, I said, man, the papers messed that up. They said that was Roddy White. No, the guy's name was Roddy White, who ended up messing that up. So just to backtrack into what we were talking about with the magazine. So the first magazine I'm going to go through is Athlon. And Athlon is actually a pretty good magazine. I do buy it every year. They are usually about 60% on their predictions. Obviously, before the season starts, no one knows about injuries. No one knows about trends that may happen or whatever. Last year, for an example, Athlon, I had the last book. They did pick Kansas City and the Rams to go back. No, I'm sorry. Kansas City and New Orleans to go to the Super Bowl last year. So as we know, New Orleans can't get out of their own way. Damon Smith can tell you about that. They can't get out of their own way to get to the Super Bowl. But every year, these books, they just love New Orleans. So I just wanted to run by a couple of these predictions and just tell me what you all think about this, because I just don't understand. Now, what they do, they have I'm going to concentrate on the NFC because that's where the Falcons are, just to show you what they think about our team. So out of the 16 teams in the NFC, Athlon says Atlanta is the 11th ranked team. 11. Now, I have to keep in mind, last year we were 7-9. You're not going to get a lot of respect from a 7-9 team going into the next year. So I understand. They say for the Falcons, Atlanta Falcons, their little end up quote, they pick us to be third in the NFC South. Remember, guys, it's going to be 7 teams in the playoffs this year, not 6. So they don't expect us to not only be in the top 7, they don't even expect us to be in the top 10. We're at number 11. They pick in the NFC South, of course, the darlings, New Orleans Saints, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, now that they actually have a quarterback that may not throw 30 interceptions. They pick us to go third, and Carolina, who I think is probably going to be trying to lose games to get Trevor Lawrence, they pick them to be fourth. I just don't know. I've talked about the things that the Falcons did in the offseason as far as bringing in Dante Fowler, making the move to get Todd Gurley at least for 1 year to try to solidify the run game. Getting Hayden Hearst for the 2nd round pick. Don't sleep on that Hayden Hearst thing. And yes, that was pretty expensive, that 2nd round pick. You may have been able to have somebody a little younger that you could have groomed and brought into the game. But don't sleep on that. Hayden Hearst is a pretty solid tight end. He just got it was a numbers game in Baltimore. And I think Baltimore was pretty happy with their rotation as opposed to having the one guy that was going to be the man and end up paying like Hoop got paid this year. Rusty says, if any franchise knows anything about pumping fake noise, yeah, I know. Philip says, our red zone will be 10 times better this season. I think it is too. Just the addition of Todd Gurley himself, that is enough to make the options that you have inside the 20 so great. And judging by what I see from Todd Gurley, he seems like he's ready to step up to the next level. And I think he's going to come and give us the threat of the running game we've needed for a long time. I'm sorry, Tidy. I know your boy Freeman was solid for us for, I say, about a year and a half, but he never gave that type of threat to defenses as Gurley does. Carlos says Graham needs more snaps too. Graham is going to be in there. Oh, don't worry. It's not going to be a single. And remember, the Falcons run a 2 tight end set quite a bit anyway. And Graham is really somebody that I look forward to thriving in this offense. He got a lot of shots last year. Remember when Hooper went down for a little bit, he got a shot. Graham is not going anywhere. I think Graham is going to still be a big part of the offense. Brother Daniel, how you doing, sir? We're just talking about some of these predictions from the magazines that we have here as far as Athlon and Street and Smith is concerned. Let me just shoot by and tell you what they predict for the NFC in 2020. They predict in the NFC East, they predict Dallas Cowboys to win in the East with no wild card teams there. NFC North, they pick Minnesota and Green Bay to be a wild card. NFC South, they pick the New Orleans Saints to win the division and Tampa Bay to get the other wild card. And in the NFC West, they pick the San Francisco 49ers and the Seattle Seahawks to be in the wild card. Remember, there are 7 teams this year in the NFC and AFC playoffs as opposed to 6. The only bye will be the number 1 seed. Everyone else will be playing on wild card weekend. They pick wild card weekend to be San Francisco over Green Bay, Seattle over Minnesota, Tampa Bay over Dallas. In the divisional round, they say New Orleans over Seattle and Tampa Bay over San Francisco. And Athlon predicts an NFC South championship between New Orleans and Tampa Bay, and they pick New Orleans to win over Tampa Bay. And overall, they say New Orleans will defeat Baltimore in the Super Bowl. Now, normally I would get mad and tell you all the ways that these magazines are wrong, but I kind of like that they picked New Orleans because these guys have been picking New Orleans for the last, I don't know, 5-6 years. So continue to pick New Orleans because every time they pick New Orleans, they either miss on a pass interference, let Kyle Rudolph catch in the end zone, or let Stephon Diggs run down the field with no time left on the clock. So I will continue to let Athlon keep picking New Orleans to win. We'll get back to the AFC in a second. Catch up with a couple of comments. Ron says Atlanta Falcons will go 10-6 and they will make it to the playoffs. Man, listen, I have no doubt that we will be very competitive for one of those 7 spots. I'm not saying, no disrespect to Green Bay. Green Bay has a nice little young nucleus too. Don't sleep on them. Seattle. Russell Wilson is definitely the best player on Seattle's team. I think aside of that, you have a lot of players that they have to be just right in order for Seattle to win. I'm not feeling Seattle as much as everybody else. Matter of fact, better not sleep on Arizona this year. Now with Hopkins out there catching passes from Kyler Murray, don't sleep on them. I know they have the Rams at 3rd place, but that's going to be a very competitive division as well. The NFC East is garbage. I don't care who wins out of that. I think we can take care of anybody out of the NFC East. And as far as the South is concerned, I think we're going to beat each other up. I don't think anybody in the South is going to be over 11 wins. I think it's going to be New Orleans, Tampa, Atlanta, all the way through. And those division games, and especially at the end where we have that 2 out of 3 gauntlet with Tampa Bay, that's going to probably end up deciding who wins the division. Going back up here, Daniel says Graham could be a factor. I think he will. Let them sleep on us, man. Like we like it like that. I love it when folks underestimate you. King Richard said, I think Marlon Davidson was a steal. Marlon Davidson was absolutely a steal. And I'm trying to remember what pundit was I watching on the NFL Network that said Marlon Davidson, and he's predicting that he's going to play more inside than outside. He said Marlon Davidson might be his defensive rookie of the year. And I'm trying to remember who it was. And I apologize for not remembering that. Brother Timothy, how you doing, man? Rise up to you, brother. Tidy says New Orleans actually effectively rush the quarterback, which is why they always get picked high in the offseason. Sure wish we could get a defense consistently. Here's the thing, Tidy, and I'm hoping, again, we do a lot of smoke and mirrors the last 8 games in 2018 and 2019. That being said, Dan Quinn is not calling the shots on the defense this year. I'm hoping that whatever Raheem Morris was doing last year translates into this year. We picked up some talent on the defense, which is something we can't say the years before. The last time we picked up real talent on the defense was 2015 and 16. When you talk about Beasley and then Jared, and then Deion Jones, those folks. Now that you have a Davidson, now that you went out and paid for a Fowler to come in here, now this is where you start talking about infusing talent into a team that has flashes. Yeah. As much as I've given praise to Oliver and my brother on the other side, Sheffield, as much as I've given them credit, they aren't elite players at all, not even close. But we have infused some guys on that defensive line that can join that rotation and hopefully make life better for them back there in the secondary. I truly think Raheem is the man, and I'm glad he's calling the shots back there in the back. Daniel says, how do you feel about the attendance limits for the Falcons game this year? We touched on it briefly right before you got on, Daniel. I like the idea. I would love to see how it plays out on paper. There are smarter people than us who can figure things like that out. But I would be willing to give it a chance. Listen, no one's going to go to all 8 games. So in some ways you look at it like, hey, I'm going to save money one way or the other. But if they do, like they say, put out a survey and say what games you want to go to, everybody's going to load up for Tampa Bay and New Orleans this year. Say what game you're going to go to, and then they figure out how to spread folks out. Now, how do you do it? Somebody like me, I sit in 130. Do I still sit in 130? Do I sit up in 3 something or 2 something? I don't know how they're going to do that, but I'm pretty sure those folks get paid a lot of money to figure that stuff out. I think it's a great idea as long as the trends for COVID kind of flatten out a little bit. I'm really concerned about this stuff. But, I don't I'm not taking lightly to what this stuff has done in all parts of the world, not just the sports part, but we were just discussing they've pushed back schools a couple of weeks. So this is not just oh man, we can't play football. This is oh man, the world can't function right. So I haven't lost sight of that. But as far as the fans are concerned, hey, if it's something that they think they can try, I'm game. I'm game to sit on one row and have somebody sit 2 rows ahead of me or 2 rows back of me, and we space it out. And, just people play by the rules. If you want to get in there and it's like, I don't want to wear a mask because I'm blah, blah, and go watch it in the bar. But, yeah, I'm willing to follow the rules and do that. PJ, do you honestly think we will have a season this year? I don't. PJ, I think we will. I think they're going to try. Now, the great thing about the NFL right now is they have a little bit of time. You still have you're going to start seeing players as they're talking about going into training camps and things, but they still have time to delay the season even if they want to. If it's any sport that they will definitely delay, you're not going to have an argument with, and that's football. So I do think there is a chance that a very good chance that we're going to have this season. A very good chance I think we're going to play all 16 games, barring some enormous outbreak, which is possible too. Rusty, I hope like hell we're competitive this year. I don't like the way our roster is constructed. Honestly, I'm not expecting playoffs right now if we're keeping it 100. There are reasons to be concerned. Are we really settled in the offensive line? Not really. As much as I love the pick of Marlon Davidson, we still have some maturing to do on the line. Still trying to put out a Amber Alert for Sadat. What happened? Sadat? What happened to him? I haven't heard anything. I mean, we still have a ways to go, but I'm optimistic because of the coaching changes that they've made. The coaching changes. Morris basically had the worst defense in the first half of 2019 and turned them in not to the Chicago Bears or the monsters of the monsters of the Midway or the New York Giants or the Baltimore Ravens, but he turned them into a slightly respectable group. And now that he's going to start the year as the DC, let's give him some time and see what happens with that. Philip says, I don't think the Tampa Bay O-line will give Brady the time he needs in the pocket. I'm trying to tell y'all, this Tampa Bay thing might end up exploding in their face. It really might. Giving Brady all the due respect for the 6 titles and what he's done. But if anybody who really pays attention to football watch the last couple of years, even the year they beat the Rams, Brady didn't beat the Rams. Their defense beat the Rams. And Brady is, of course, Brady's the quarterback, gets all the love and everything as they should. But when you really think about it, Brady is on the downslide, which is why I think the Cam Newton move, which we'll get into in a couple of seconds, is a very interesting one. And I would love to see if the Patriots come out of the box 2-2, 2-3 in a still weak AFC East to see what the attitude of Cam Newton will be and how he and Belichick will mix up. It'll be very interesting. Tidy says Browns may sneak in the playoffs this year. If it's any team that I'm rooting against in the AFC, it's the Browns. Now, Baker Mayfield has said he's going to do a lot less talking. And if he does, there's a possibility that I may kind of hold off some of my criticism of him. But last year, he mouthed off so much. And I was so rooting for them to lose because he basically had them in the Super Bowl. Not only that, but every freaking commercial you saw on TV last year, Baker Mayfield on Hulu, Baker Mayfield with whatever the one where he was supposed to be in the stadium taking care of it, all of that. I want to see a Super Bowl winning quarterback. Show me Patrick Mahomes in that. Show me Tom Brady. As much as I can't stand him as a player, but at least he deserves that credit. Going down, said Dan Steve, you know how I feel about Mr. Kyler out there in Arizona. Yeah, but I tell you what, man, Kyler, it's going to be pretty interesting to see what he does now that he has a super legitimate number one, an awesome vet in Fitz at number 2, and some pieces around him. The brother from Miami, who losing his mind, losing his name right there, but y'all know who I'm talking about. That's going to be a very interesting team. Problem is, you're playing San Francisco, and San Francisco is not going anywhere probably this year, barring some injuries. I don't know. Jimmy G may have taken a shot as far as to his ego, but that's a tough division. I just dogged out Seattle a few minutes ago, but Russell Wilson is still the quarterback. As long as he's still the quarterback, they're going to have a chance. Brother Perry says, New Orleans is a good team, but the statement that Drew Brees said this offseason is still going to affect their season. Also, with Tampa not having an offseason, they're going to start off slow. Yes, we have new players too, but rookies, the attitude to want to play for Dan Quinn will win us the division at 10-6. I have no problem with that whole statement. I think you're absolutely right. Yeah, the Drew Brees effect, as with most things in the news cycle, kind of died down a little bit. But when the season starts, trust me, those things will come back up. And not only that, those other teams are going to use all of that motivation for New Orleans this year. And listen, Drew Brees is one of the all-time greats, no doubt in that. But this year, I was kind of surprised after that whole fiasco that he ended up staying. There was a part of me thinking, you know what? We just signed Taysom Hill. We just hooked him up with a contract. He's probably going to be the future anyway. Let's go ahead and go with him for the starting job. I'm really surprised that they didn't go that route. But they didn't, so more power to him. Brother Rusty says, no vets at the corner scare me, Steve. I think that the Falcons are going to probably try to make a free agent move. Boy, I'd love to get even in the middle of the field. I'd love to get my hands on Ryan. I know Logan Ryan. I know we can't pay him, but you need, to your point, Rusty, you have to have veterans. You must have veterans in order to win this game. We have a good mix of young guys on this team, but you got to have some old dogs out there to teach them. And in the secondary, we are definitely hurting. You know, Rico is probably the senior guy out there in the secondary right now, but everyone else, I think, is less than 4 years when you talk about KZ, now AJ Tyrell, Sheffield, and Oliver. You're talking about a lot of young pups. To your point, maybe one veteran. That's why I wish we wouldn't have gotten rid of Robert Alford and would have kept him and let Desmond go a little bit. Gabriel said teams aren't going to forget what he said. Oh, I don't expect them to, Gabriel. And matter of fact, I look forward to seeing how that's going to play out on the field. Teams have funny ways of finding their inspiration. I'm sure coaches aren't going to put it on the bulletin board, but you know the whispers are going around. Boy, I can't wait to get my hands on Breeze. Boy, I can't wait to show him blah, 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 blah. If you want to take that as your motivation, go knock into it. I do think he finally got it later. I don't think he got it initially when he was doing the "Look in My Eyes" video, which was I know he probably did that himself, but somebody came back to him and said, "Yeah, bro, I don't need you to give me that." Yeah, he's in some trouble this year. Teams are coming after him. This cat, who pretty much owns Drew Brees, is coming after him this year. Brother Phillip says, who's going to be our offensive and defensive breakout this year? Again, I really love the addition of Hayden Hearst, and I think he's going to end up paying dividends a lot for Matt Ryan. I like him on the offensive side to add to Julio, Calvin Ripley, and the other plethora of young receivers that we have now, the Laquan addition from the Vikings coming in, and of course, Gurley in the background. All of those guys have a little bit of spotlight on them with the exception of Hearst. I think Hearst comes in and Hearst does the job. On defense, I look for Davison to really have a good year. If you think about now how the defensive line is constructed, look, I know Tack is going to have to get out of his feelings that he didn't get offered that 5th year, but he still has to put on a show for the next year because nobody's going to pay him if he sits out and pouts and doesn't want to play. So I think he'll be motivated for the next team to play well on that other end. Fowler is a beast. I love Dante Fowler. I love that move. Never thought we would have paid that money, but I'm glad we did. That's going to pay dividends as well. He's going to be the best pass rusher we've had since John Abraham. No doubt in my mind. And I think he's going to make other people better because they're going to end up keying on him, which will free up a lot of things on that D-line and especially free up whoever's going to be on that other side, whether that's going to be a slim down Davison or whether that's going to be Tat McKinley or anyone else that we end up picking up on that end. So those are the guys that I look at as being breakout folks for us. Perry said, what's the X factor on last linebacker strong safety we signed? I forgot his name. I'm trying to think, who are you referring to? And I apologize. Y'all help me out there. Perry, I had a little brain fart going on. So everybody else help me out on that. The other guy that we signed, the last guy we signed at linebacker and strong safety. While we're thinking about that, let me go to Cam Newton for a quick second. Hold on, Gabriel can say, I agree. I believe Marlon Davidson is going to be the breakout star for our defense, and I wouldn't be surprised if AJ Tyrell breaks out too. Listen, it is. Brother Jackie, how you doing? Good to see you. AJ Tyrell, and yes, I remember on draft night, I bashed management for even thinking about drafting him. But after going back and really looking at some tape and really looking at some of the stuff he did at Clemson, especially the year before, it's not a bad move. It's in the Dan Quinn book of thin, supposed to be versatile cornerbacks to try to emulate that little Richard Sherman type guy that he truly still hasn't found yet. But I'm willing to give him a chance, not only because he's a hometown dude, but listen, he hears what everybody else heard. He heard, even though it was virtual, I'm sure he looks at posts. I'm sure he looks at social media. And he saw, man, that's the dude that got burnt like toast against LSU. Why are we getting that guy? Our secondary is already bad enough. He hears the noise. Don't ever let players fool you. If they don't hear the noise, somebody in their camp hears the noise. And they always go back and tell them. So AJ's got a lot to prove. So I think that's a good move. Yeah, Buchanan. That's who it is. Yeah. I do think he's going to be a factor. But really, man, it would be great to get your hands on Logan Ryan if you could. He would really solidify that back. I wouldn't even mind making a trade if you had to. If you really think about it, that'd be a really good move to solidify that. Brandon says that Debo sweet though. Yeah, Debo is the truth. LSU burnt everyone this year, especially my Georgia Bulldogs. Yeah. You got a good point. I mean, Burrows was just on a different level this year, and with those receivers LSU had, you have to throw that in there a little bit. But that being said, AJ has a lot to prove, and I think he can do it. Dabo has come up and said he has no problem thinking he's going to adjust very well to the NFL. So let's hope that he can. I really do. I think he's going to do a great job. Rusty says, Steve, you're going to laugh at this, but I went back to your draft video just to see the reaction to drafting AJ again. Comment section was lit that night. That's my point. And I know I was one of the first ones to jump on that but the human nature is when you see him drafted, what is the first thing you thought about? For all us football aficionados, first thing we thought about was how he was getting dragged up and down that field that night for LSU. Now, that being said, I mean, it was LSU. And Joe Burrows had a year that was beyond what anybody could have thought. So I have to take that into consideration. And he's not going to be playing against super duper quarterbacks all year long. Yes, he has Breeze, but he has a 40-year-old Breeze. Yes, he has Brady, but he has a 42-year-old, 43. How old is Brady? 42, 43-year-old Brady. So it's going to be a different thing. Brandon said, I'm talking about your jersey. Oh, my bad, brother. Yeah, listen. This was the first jersey to show up. Julio and Matt in the Vapor White showed up last week. And I still have two of them out there for my family. The Grady, well, actually, I take that back. This is one, and the Grady is my other one. And my son has Gurley, but Gurley doesn't come until September. So you'll see me flash a few more of them out here. The Vapors are hot, man, but big boys don't wear white well. Now, I'll wear white. You think I'm going to a wedding or something, and that's not what's going on. Brandon says, Neil looking good in rehab too. Saw him on Instagram. I think he's good to go. Listen, I think that if Neil comes back, and this is the second year in a row we're saying this, if Neil comes back, that will make such a difference. The problem is, unfortunately, now that's just a tag with him. And I was so happy to see him come out there and do his thing on that first game and come out there and be on the field. But, man, I just having Willie Moe flashbacks because Willie Moe did the same thing, and those two guys are in the same league. I think Willie Moore was a top dog safety, but just couldn't stay healthy. So I do hope Neil is back to normal. If he is, Brandon, we're going to be in good shape. We really are. It's almost like getting a free agent because I think some people have kind of written him off. There were some of us that thought, hey, let's go in another direction. Let's look at the safety next year. And I don't blame you for saying that because he hasn't been there the last 2 years. That safety position, man, that's a monster, man. You gotta have that. And you think about the 2016 and 17 seasons, Neil was all over the place. And that's what made the defense start peaking when it did. Is it ironic that in 18 and 19, when our defense looked like garbage, especially the first half of 19, 18, we were pretty much garbage most of the year, but the offense finally caught fire. But when you think about if Neil was healthy. That was probably about a 2 to 3 game swing. Probably so. Brandon says, if Neal misses any 3 or more games this season, we have to let him walk. And I'll say, well, he'll be a free agent, so it doesn't matter. This is his 5th year anyway, so I don't think you worry about that. Anthony, what's going on? How confident are we in Foye starting this season? I'm not confident, man. That's another position that I thought that they would get at linebacker. I know we got the one linebacker in the draft, but that's a veteran position. I had a list of some veteran linebackers, and the list wasn't anything that just made you say, oh. And I'm very concerned about him at the linebacker position. We're thin, y'all. When Campbell left, that left us thin. That left us very thin. We're going to have to trust that he can do the job, but I think the plan is to rebuild that defensive line, or not even rebuild, to give Grady, who is probably one of the top 5 interior guys right now, to give him the support on both sides. So what they do on the defensive line can dictate how free the linebackers are in the middle. You know what I mean? Dion is going to be able to roll back and forth, but he needs some help. And rookie, I'm not sure if he's going to be able to do anything. Jerome said Neal's going to be back. Good. I hope he is. PJ, those type of safeties don't last long. They don't. But boy, when they are playing and they're on your team, boy, you feel good about life. Robin, how you doing? I have been fine. Good to see you pop back in here. Gabriel says Neal and Debo had our defense in the top 10 in 2017, and that's my point. We haven't had a chance to see them together since 2010. Think about it. I'm sorry, 2010, 2017. So think about it. And what we did with that defense in 2017 had folks thirsty the next year for 2018, because the thought was, oh, we finally got it on the defense. We lost to Philly by a 4th down miss to Julio. We are that close. The thought process was in 2018, we're going to light the world on fire. And it ended up going in the other direction. But I understand. You know, you get it. Brandon says, Calvin Ripley is at Robin said, what do you think about Marlon Davidson? Love him. Think he's going to be somebody that's going to fit right. They haven't quite committed to saying whether he was going to be on the edge or the inside. I know at that 305, you think more on the inside, but I truly think either way, he will be such a force. I would love to see him tackle things inside with Grady. I think they would be a magical duo if he can step up and do some of the things he did down at Auburn. But I love the potential of the young man. I think he's going to be pretty good. Jerome says the way he played, he could be an every down threat with that burst and the hard hitting like we all like to see every down. He needs help. Absolutely. Oh, yeah. Yeah, you're right. And look, there are a lot of holes on this defense. And whatever Morris did last year to put them in the right positions, even under talented guys, that's at least a step in the right direction. And when you start talking about who's going to be the most valuable person on the Falcons in the Falcons organization this year, I think it's going to be Morris. I think whatever he does with that defense is going to end up predicting whether we're going to be good or whether we're going to go back to another 7-9 season. So not Dan Quinn, not Dirk Cutter, not Matt Ryan, not Julio Jones. I think Raheem Morris is probably the most important person in the Falcons organization as far as on the field next year. because whatever he does with that defense is going to be what tells our tale. You have to go against Breeze twice. You have to go against Brady twice. We have to go to Kansas City to visit Mr. Mahomes. We got Seattle here, second game. I mean, we faced some quarterbacks this year. So what he does with that defense is going to be critical. What do you think about the safety we picked in the draft this year? And let me go back here to the draft because I also wanted to remember the linebacker we got this year. And I apologize for selling myself short in here. That was Brother Hawkins from California. Right now, I think at the safety position, I think we're okay if Neal comes back and if KZ continues to progress. He's going to be pretty good coming off the bench and probably being a good special teams guy. I don't look for him to make a big impact. Now, Walker out of Fresno State, that's the wild card. They were talking about him on 92.9 a couple of weeks ago and saying that there were some folks that thought he would truly make a difference on this particular team. So we'll see how that works out. And then also getting the heir apparent to Alex Mack, Mr. Hennessy, at the center position is going to be real good. Philip says, with all these first-round picks starting the game, we should average 28 points. You hope so. In a perfect world. In a perfect world, they should. I hope they do, Philip. Devontae, I hope I'm saying that right. Gatlin, what do you think about the safety we picked? I just did that. I'm sorry. PJ, what do you think about Kaminsky? I like Kaminsky, and he's coming. And listen, there was no need to rush Kaminsky. He has 1 year in the system. Now let's see. He should be in this rotation pretty well. So maybe they're counting on him to spend a little bit more time in that linebacker rotation. So, yeah, Kaminsky, he showed some flashes last year. Wasn't on the field as much as I thought he was going to be. And there could have been reasons for that. He definitely was on the field a lot more when Morris took over than he was in the first half. So, yeah, let's see where his growth can take him. I had faith in Kaminsky. Tidy says, year 3 of Calvin Ridley and his 5th-year option looming. Do you allow him to take some targets away from Julio and see what kind of load he can handle with more responsibilities in the offense? You know what, Tidy? Honestly, I thought he was going to be trade bait this year. I thought he was going to be trade bait for either a defensive guy, a trade bait for maybe even a linebacker. But Calvin Ridley, especially when they signed Julio to that big deal, I think, I'm not saying you can't get another wide receiver. Of course, we brought in brother from the Vikings, but I love Calvin Ridley. Did we need Calvin Ridley last year in those last few games? I love Calvin Ridley on our team. Trust me. But if you said you could get a bona fide starting linebacker right now to play alongside Dion, which we don't have at this second, would you make that move? I would make that move. So to answer your question, right now, Tidy, I'm on the fence. I wouldn't hurry up and sign him to an option. I wouldn't hurry up and do it. I wait to see what he does this year. Those 10 touchdowns seems like eons ago. And then when you get hurt, sometimes, unfortunately, people forget about you. Now, if he comes back, lights the world on fire, scores 12 touchdowns, 1,100 yards, and does whatever, okay, then you start thinking about that. But right now, it's no rush. It's no rush. Let's see how 2020 ends up. Brandon, that defense played hard for Raheem, too, in the second half. And that's the thing. They played hard for him and not for Quinn, the head coach. I do think Quinn made the mistake of thinking he could be Belichick and juggle both of them. and he found out that was probably a little bit over his head, Raheem probably saved Quinn's job. To break it down to you, probably saved his job. Conley said, "Rise up." What are your predictions from the schedule? I'm sticking to my 10-6 prediction that I gave earlier this year. We're gonna go over that time and time again before August. I'm gonna be going, and I know I'm not supposed to do this, but whatever. I'm gonna be doing a lot more YouTube along with staying in Atlanta Bird Game to you guys. I'm gonna do some stuff on YouTube here starting in August. So be on the lookout for that. I'll put it on my personal page if you all want to check that out. But I will have a review of every team in the NFC South. I should be doing at least 2 to 3 videos a week. I've already started a little bit of my plan to do that, and they'll already be recorded. Some of the stuff won't be live. It'll just be little vignettes that you guys can take forward. So look forward to you all checking that out, and then let me know what you think about it in August. Rusty said Ripley was a wasted draft pick. Not saying he is good, but we didn't need a wide receiver. You know, that year you thought about it, you really didn't. You needed, at that time, you needed an offensive lineman, or you needed some help on the defense. All right, we at that time that we drafted him, we thought the Vic Beasley decline was a fluke. Remember, he had his shoulder hurt. We thought Tack, who ran across the field or across the stage cussing and all that, everybody was talking about how much of a dog he was, and he was going to turn out. And then we turn out in 2018 and get a wide receiver. Valid point that you made, that we probably didn't need to get him. But now that you have him and you've gotten a chance to show his wares, I don't know how you can't look at him as an interesting commodity. In the middle of the season, you find out Oluokun won't work out at the linebacker position. Hey, somebody needs a wide receiver, willing to give up something. Think about it. Not saying that you just automatically do it, but it's something to think about. Brandon, Hayden Hearst is predicted to make a Pro Bowl. This offense may be very explosive. I'm trying to tell y'all, Hayden Hearst, don't sleep on that move. The second round pick was rich, but he was a first round pick, and his situation up there kind of got to where, hey, they found cheaper help to do the job. He was a number 1 pick. He was getting ready to come up on that option anyway. So cut their losses before it even gets there. Tidy says Ridley could still become trade bait. Ridley will demand a huge contract, and I don't think it would be wise to go down that road again. Only time will tell. Here's the only thing that I say about that. Because you do have that 5th-year option, and Julio I'm still not 100% convinced that Julio's going to make it to the end of the 3 years. You don't want to cut yourself off completely, whether it be Matt Ryan quarterback or anybody. You still want a stud wide receiver. And at that time, maybe 2 years down the line, or if we pick up Ripley for that 5th year, let's see where Julio is at that time. You might have to make that call. And with Julio's money being off the books a year after that to keep Ridley. But I do understand what you're saying. And it wouldn't hurt my feelings if they traded him. To Rusty's point, wasted pick. He was talented. He probably was one of the most talented guys at that time when they picked him. And he showed it his rookie year, but might not have been the right pick. So I hear what you're saying. Jerome, no one will take targets away from Julio. It will open the field for the run and over the middle passes we need. And don't forget about Gurley back there in the back. I'm telling people, the thought of Gurley is going to be awesome. Just the thought of what he could be in this offense. Yes, he'll also still be able to run the ball. But the threat of Gurley out of the backfield, as well. Come on, man. That is tight. No disrespect to Freeman. But then again, maybe a little disrespect to Freeman because Freeman didn't give us anything after he signed that contract. And I hate the situation for him personally, for the young man as a person, that he, split up with his agent and, doesn't have a team right now. He'll be playing for somebody when camp comes around. You always need running backs. But that being said, he kind of juiced us, y'all. Devonta got us. And more power to him. Capitalist system. I get it. That's what it's all about. But he got us. And he got us good. There's a lot of money you paid for him that you could have been using in some other areas. But I wish nothing but good luck for him because he did help us get to the Super Bowl that year. Brandon says, no way Ripley is a wasted draft pick. He may be the best number 2 in the league. When Rusty says wasted, I think Rusty, you're going to have to speak up for yourself now if you think I'm wrong. We needed so much more other than a wide receiver at that time. And while you may be right about him being the possible, well, I don't think you're right about being number 2. We got 2 teams in our divisions that I will absolutely take over us when you talk about number 2 receivers in Tampa Bay and New Orleans. And I mean it in that order because Goodwin is no joke. But at that time, we didn't need a wide receiver. I don't think we needed one. And when he says waste, yeah, talent-wise, it wasn't a waste. Fit-wise, did we really need Calvin Ridley? Probably not. Calvin Ridley's not here, Sanu's probably still on this team. So that's when it says, and I see Rusty comes in and say, you're right, Steve, Ridley is good, but wasn't our biggest need. And so when we say waste, Brandon, I don't think as derogatory as you say. We could have picked better, which shouldn't be a surprise from this organization. Yes, we could have picked a lot better. Tyrell said Ripley will be an asset. Not doubting he will be a trade asset or asset here. He's still, listen, y'all, I'm not trying to ship him off. All I'm saying is we could have used something else in that position. We could have used another defensive person. We could have used an offensive lineman in that spot. So, and maybe at that time, and I can't remember, I'm not going to pretend to go back to the 2018 draft and remember who was next up. But at the same time, I know we could have picked defense. Even coming off 2017, we were good, we weren't perfect. So with offensive line, we definitely could have used at that time. Brandon says Falcons will play Ridley. Falcons take care of homegrown talent. He has earned it. Okay, we'll see. Remember, also, all this restructured money for Matt, all that stuff got to be paid somewhere down the line. Brandon, y'all forgot that Ridley has scored 18 touchdowns in 2 years. Julio has struggled in that department. I forgot. But that's all. Keep it real, Brandon. He's got an 18 touchdown because the best receiver in the league is on the other side. And the best receiver over the lead is getting bracketed. That's why he scored 18 touchdowns. Not that when you put it like that, it's almost like you're trying to say Julio can't get those touchdowns. He can get them. Anything Julio get, he's earned. But Ridley is getting his shots because the person on the other side of the field is the best receiver in the NFL. But Ridley is still good. Jerome, the thought of Gurley. Hey, man, I'm trying to tell you. That's it. Just the thought. The thought of him. I'm trying to tell you. That's it. Markeith, what's going on, man? The Falcons have wasted plenty of picks on worst talent. Yeah, you got a point there. Peter Cons. I know. I don't have to be reminded. Brandon, you can't keep drafting based on needs. Best of player available. We needed Vic Beasley, but we passed on Todd. And that's a very valid point. I'm not against getting the best time. As a matter of fact, if you would listen to me earlier, Brandon, I even said the reason we probably got him because he was the best talent we had at the time. I think, though, coming off of 2017, my only reason for saying maybe we needed to get something else, because at that time, with the way Julio and Muhammad Sanu were taking the top off, and at that time, Gabriel, because Gabriel was, eventually ended up leaving, but we were still sitting pretty good at wide receiver when you think about it. I just think at the number, and I think it was, what pick was Ripley? 14, 13? No, 16. No, we made the playoffs, so probably about 16 or 17. So where we picked him in the draft, it just seemed like we had some other needs. Not knocking Ripley. This is not a knock on him. This is not a criticism of him as a player. Obviously, he's a talent player. You don't just catch 10 touchdowns and you're garbage. That's not the case. My point is, what we needed coming off the 2017 season was some hogs up front. Because Chester left, Levitre was turned the other way. We all know what happened to Schrader. And you see what we had to end up doing the last 2 years, reconstructing the offensive line. That was my only point as far as that. No disrespect to Ripley at all. PJ says, hell, we took Matthews over Aaron Donald. Again, now, I will say this, PJ. At that time, though Aaron Donald would have been nice. At that time, we had to have a left tackle. And we didn't have a left tackle at all. Now, I will say we fell for the okie doke. I would have liked to get the big dude out of Michigan. Y'all help me out. Y'all know who I'm talking about that year. And I know he was from Michigan. Big Cat plays for the Titans. I wanted to get him that year more than I wanted to get Jake Matthews. But I understand. At that time, you needed a left tackle, and the Matthews name is synonymous with pretty good interior line play. So that's what that was. If you ask me, Brandon says Ripley was 26. Okay, Toddy says Ripley was 23rd. Okay, Ripley was like 26. Okay, whatever he was in the 20s, again. I just didn't think that was your first priority at that time. I just didn't think it was. I could be wrong, but I don't think that was coming off of the defensive season that we had. And what was the big knock that year in 2017? Matt was getting killed. Matt was getting crushed in 2017. Offense couldn't do a thing. Now, that being said, Shanahan left, so that was part of the problem. But we were getting crushed. That's what it was. Philip says, how many Davis Fowler getting? You must mean how many sacks he getting? 11.5. That's a good number. I would go for that. Absolutely. Tyrell said we had 3 running backs when we drafted Ripley. Yeah, because Tevin was still on the team, right? Tevin was still on the team then. Brandon, but it's his skill set that's valuable. His routes and ability to beat man coverage is unmatched. And I hope at the end of this, you go back and pay attention to what I'm saying, Brandon. I'm not disagreeing with you 1%. All I'm saying is, right now, if somebody said, I'm giving you a bona fide linebacker that can help Dion. Now, it depends on who the linebacker is. I'm not talking about scrub. But if you can help me out with a starting linebacker right now, hey, what do you have as Falcons? Hey, we'll take Ripley, and I'll throw in a 4th-round pick. I'll give it up in a heartbeat. That has zero to do with his talent. Matter of fact, if anything, his talent helps us in that situation. but I'm not volunteering to give him away. I'm saying if the need comes to give him away. I'm not volunteering. Not at all. Dro, we need an offensive line and not running backs. True. Brandon, we took Keith Brooking over Randy Moss. I think I remember that. And remember, Randy got had a little bit of drama at Marshall, so that's why he dropped as far as he was. There were people that were saying Randy Moss was a top 5 talent that year. And remember, Keith Brooking back then. Remember this: he was out of East Coweta, went to Georgia Tech. So all of those Atlanta area ties, they thought they were bringing the hometown boy home. So, and he ended up staying here for a while. And look, I know people are half and half about Keith Brooking. I never thought he was the greatest in the world. I think he was okay. He was definitely solid for a couple of years, but kind of like Devonta Freeman, his best years were his first couple of years. His rookie year, when he played alongside the Hammer that 1 year, was actually not bad. But after that, the Super Bowl year. But after that, I mean, he was okay, but not like devastatingly great. Rusty says 8-8 or 9-7, Steve. That's my prediction. 9-7 might not be a bad. And listen, 7 teams make the playoffs this year. 9-7 might get you in. And at this point, every team except one is going to have to win 3 games to get to the Super Bowl anyway. So it becomes a little bit tougher. So, look, as long as you get in, who cares if you play on the road? This year especially, who cares if you play on the road this year? Because there's probably not going to be any fans that'll watch you anyway. So 9-7, I can live with that. Absolutely. Brandon says Taylor Lewan. That's who it was. He didn't fit the Falcons filter. He had a bar brawl in college. And yeah, that's one of those things, Brandon, where you say, yeah, I might need a Brian Cox to be in there to hit the button to make that pick for the Falcons. Because, yeah, you need that on that offensive line. You kind of leave some nasty on there. So, yeah, I would have loved to have him on the team. Jerome, Keith did his job. Yeah, he did. There were some that kind of overinflated him. I had an argument with somebody. So it'll be interesting to see what y'all say to this. I had an argument with somebody that they told me Keith Brooking was better than Jesse Tobel. And I just say to that, dude, you were delusional. I mean, yeah, Jesse Tobel played on some of the sorriest teams in Atlanta franchise history. But the one part that you never, ever talked about was that middle linebacker. Jesse Tobel held it down. But you know how you get in one of those sports arguments that you knew he wasn't going to give up on his argument. Look, Keith Brooking, he was rookie when he came with the Super Bowl. And I was like, yeah, dude, did you ever watch Jesse Tobel? And I'm sorry, I had a few years on him, and he was a young kid, and Keith Brooking was his hero, and blah, blah, blah. So I get that. But I was like, yeah, you probably needed to watch a little bit more Falcons football. But, you know, hey. Todd says no. Jerome, no, hell no. Jesse's my guy. Hey, I didn't say it. Jesse is obviously my guy. Anthony, what do you think about the trade rumors with San Francisco with the running back? Here's my problem. They say they owe him $2.5 million. Do we need to pay $2.5 when you still have, and I'm not saying they're world beaters, but Brian Hill, you still have coming off injury, Ito Smith. You still have Big Boy from Pittsburgh, who they let come in and do the short yard touchdowns last year. I'm not sure if I would make a move to pick up a salary like that. Are we hurting at running back? Yeah. Even with the acquisition of Gurley, yeah, we're not top running back team in the NFL, but we have guys that now Ollison. That's what I'm trying to think of. Ollison. Between Ollison, Smith, Hill, we still have folks that can back up Gurley, even if Gurley comes up gimpy in a couple of games. I'm not willing to take on that salary. That 2.3, and that doesn't sound like a lot, but I think you need to really hold tight before we make a move like that. Was Mostert great down the stretch? Absolutely. But they had such a, and I know they traded Breeder away as well. But what Kyle does with those running backs, I think is kind of an interchangeable thing. I'm not saying that he couldn't, he still couldn't thrive with San Francisco, but I think that's the wrong coordinator or head coach to sit there and say, you're going to need me when I'm gone. Yeah, he didn't need you. And Mostert was good, but he'll be okay. Rusty says, Steve, let's play a game. What has a better chance of happening? Julio getting 300 yards again, or John Harris getting MR to a compliment? He'll probably end up Julio getting 300 yards. I think he might have been drunk that night when he was giving compliments. Lisa, who said that? Let me holler at him for a minute. Talk about the Keith Brooking thing. Yeah, Lisa, that was a tailgate. That was a tailgate experience that ended up turning into a bigger thing, where people end up kind of crowding you and stuff like that. But yeah, that was pretty much full of it, as you could think. Marquis Fats, Jesse's so underappreciated. Jerome, Jesse is in my top 5. Brandon said Keith Brooking is your hero. Oh man, Keith. No, not at all. Jerome, hell no. That 2.5 could go to New England. So yeah, and I think that's my point as far as the money is concerned. I just can't make that move. At least it sounds like somebody who's drinking. PJ, that offense makes running backs look good. Example, Denver, when they plug in any running back and rush for 1K. And remember whose son that was. Absolutely. Brandon, no tailgates, no beans this year, y'all. And listen, that's the thing, too, while we're doing this thing online. That's why I'm trying to do some enhancing and stuff because, listen, y'all, it's going to be us this year. It seems like a lot. So hopefully us getting together and y'all giving good feedback. Hopefully we can do a lot of this year, whether on this platform or other platforms. I'm trying to tell you, it's going to be sad. I do like the idea of what they're trying to think about for the Falcons with a possible lottery or drawing or whatever. But what I'm thinking is the more teams like the Eagles that are coming out and saying they're not going to do anything, I just see in the next couple of weeks, if things don't flatten, I see more teams going the route of Philly than I see trying to maybe try to sneak some folks in there. Now, I will say this. If they do that this year and I'm able to if I'm lucky enough to pick, I'll probably go. And I'll be masked down, sanitized down, and with a Lysol spray, not drinking it. But I have Lysol spray and do whatever I need to do. But it's a harsh reality, folks. Kids are starting school at home this year for the first time ever. So, there are realities that we have to think about, folks, until we get I'm not getting political, so please don't go think I'm doing that. But until you get a vaccine in a syringe, I'm sorry, we're playing with fire. I'm not going to do it. Marlon, I love the talent on our team. How do you feel about our coaching staff? Listen, I think with Matt Ryan has shown a trend to always excel his second year. Even though this is Dirk Cutter's second time around with Matt, I really feel like there were some things at the end of the year that were looking awfully similar to what Matt was doing in 2016. I think the sky's the limit. I think with Gurley now, with Hearst being able to get in, and hopefully he'll fit right in where Hooper left off. And somebody reminded me, and I'm thinking that was you, Brandon, or somebody else reminded me about Graham. Don't sleep on Graham. I think Graham is still going to be a part of this offense. I think Cutter is going to be very instrumental in what we do offensively as far as being better than we were last year. Obviously, he's the offensive coach. But what I'm saying is I think we're going to make strides in the right direction this year. I've already told y'all how I think about what I think about Raheem. I think Raheem is the most important person, coach or player, on our team this year. What he does with that defense is going to dictate how successful or sorry we're going to be. And Dan Quinn is dependent on it. Got a sneaky suspicion Thomas Dimitroff is dependent on it as well. Because if they're not successful this year, I think it's going to be curtains for everybody. Lisa, if the Falcons make it to the Super Bowl this season, I'll get a hazmat suit and we'll be in Tampa. Lisa, if you get a hazmat suit, look for 3X and see if you can get me one. Because I will be right there with you, young lady. Most definitely. I will absolutely do that. Rusty said, let's say, hypothetically speaking, there is not a football season. How do you think they will go about selecting the draft order? Somebody was talking about that, too, because, hey, it's a fighting chance it may not be a college season. I really don't know, Rusty. But I will tell you this. It will be very interesting because the talents, I mean, think about it. Lawrence, I'm sure would, he's declaring. Fields is declaring. I would just be concerned about all that time off the field not playing football. I think the NFL is playing for a lot more reasons than college football is not playing for. Players don't get money in college. They get money in the NFL. And the owners get those big TV checks. I think that's the big motivation for playing in the NFL this year. I don't know how it's going to work out, Rusty. I really don't. I wish I had a snappy answer for you, but I really don't. It's going to be interesting. Brandon, not a popular opinion, but this Cutter / Air Coryell offense will do some huge numbers with this personnel. I think we're going to be pretty good. I agree with you, Brandon. I think there's an opportunity for us to have the best offense in the NFC South. I really do. I'm here to tell you right now, Drew Brees is not going to have a Drew Brees year. Drew Brees didn't look good at the end of the year last year. I know there's some Saints folks that will debate me about that, but Drew Brees looked pretty mediocre. And not to start stuff within the Who Dat Nation, Teddy Bridgewater went 5-0 and looked pretty good doing it. Little Taysom Hill won them a couple of games last year because of his antics. See Atlanta. Atlanta would sweep New Orleans. Would have swept Atlanta. Would have swept New Orleans if not for Taysom Hill last year. Drew Brees is playing on borrowed time. So when I see the predictions that some of these magazines are making, when everybody's just hot on New Orleans, they're talking like Drew Brees is the Drew Brees of 2009 and 14 and 15. Drew Brees, listen, Drew Brees for the last couple of years, you can arguably say they have underachieved. And when I say underachieved, because everyone has picked them to win the Super Bowl. Somebody showed me the tweet the other day that Cameron Jordan was talking about, and I'm paraphrasing, something like, playing without fans, that's almost like playing in Atlanta. Ha, 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 ha. Now I was saying to myself, and I thought about it, I said, Cameron Jordan, who is a great defensive end, and I take him in a heartbeat. Cameron Jordan, what have you done? You've never won an NFC championship game. Y'all have choked. You arguably say choked 3 of the last playoff years. We owned you in 2016. Just be careful there with all that crap. Back to old man Breeze. Yeah, his age has really been a fact. I think the last couple of years, he's really been going down. People got happy he had the one game against Indianapolis that when he went 28 for 29 and threw the 4 touchdowns or whatever. But Indianapolis was reeling, and they were in New Orleans, and they were rocking. But when you think about it, Breeze did not show up. He didn't show up in New Orleans against us, the heated rivals, except trying to score a touchdown in the last second to keep his stupid streak going. Lisa, I saw that Cam Jordan always talking about the Falcons on social media. I think, listen, he comes up on contract, he wants to come to the Falcons. Watch and see. Gabriel, Breeze and Brady's age will definitely show this year. Okay, and that's what I was going to go back to. Brady as well. No one can take the 6 titles away from him. No one. 2017 blew the best opportunity we had to do. We can't blame anybody but ourselves. Tom Brady, outstanding. Last year, Tom Brady didn't win because of Tom Brady. Tom Brady won because New England had one of the best defenses in the National Football League. Gilmore is holding down that side like Darrelle Revis. Their defense was coming for everybody last year. So I'm trying to tell y'all, don't be surprised if the Falcons mess around and outslug Tampa and New Orleans. Now, that being said, there are going to be battles. It's going to be battles. By the time, the one thing I do like is by the time we do play Brady, maybe he'll be beat up by the end of the year. I don't know. Maybe he will. Brandon says, definitely not arguably choked. Yeah, okay. I could go with that. They did. You went to Minnesota. You had the game in the last second. Saw some of these guys. I have a gnat in here. Sorry about that. Some of the guys start celebrating on the sideline. I go back and look at that game on Game Pass all the time. A couple of guys start, yeah. Messed up that game. The Rams game, which to this day, I still argue that, yes, the pass interference call, missed call, but you still, in overtime, gave the ball back to allegedly one of the best quarterbacks in NFL history at home and said, here, you can end the game right here. And what did they do? Throw an interception. Last year, same thing. The team that humiliated you on national TV 2 years ago, coming into your place, first thing you should be thinking, oh, man, Minnesota, if anything, we'll beat y'all by 20. Not even close. Minnesota goes in there. Kirk Cousins goes into the Super Bowl. Not Tom Brady. Kirk Cousins goes into the Super Bowl and gets a win. Crazy. Not for real, but I think Cam is going to surprise a lot of people this year. He seems to have realized Nothing is owed to him. Bill is going to have him right. Watch. We'll get to that in 1 second. Marlon says, I don't believe Brady and Breeze are going to be at their elite level, but which team do you believe will give us the most problems? I think Tampa. And because I think they made a lot of, talent-wise, I think Tampa. New Orleans is our natural rival. They're always going to give us a tussle. But I do think Tampa is offensively set up to really be a force, even more than New Orleans, if you ask me. Kamara, which was kind of interesting, even at the end of last year, didn't show up a lot. Don't know whether that was by design or not, but it was interesting. Go back and look at those games. It almost looks similar to what Gurley dealt with the Rams the last year. Look at those last couple of games with Kamara. They didn't go to Kamara a whole lot. They went to him some, but they didn't use him a lot. I think he missed having Ingram to balance those run plays off of. Could be me. He needed the yin to his yang. He needed that. Let me go back to Marquis says, I think we're going to sweep New Orleans and split with Tampa. I can say that too. I think New Orleans is going to be the disappointment out of the teams. I really do. Because I think especially after that Minnesota loss, and now add in the little added caveat of all the Drew Brees, the motivation for other teams for Drew Brees. Oh, is that not Falcon related? Oh, Rusty said NFL. Sorry about that, brother. I'm going to get to Cam in a second. But I agree with you. Jerome, because of COVID BS, I want a rival-based season. 6 regular games, best of 5. Winner gets home field in the rivalry championship. Champions go to a league championship and have a playoff like regular seasons for the NFL championship. LOL. I don't know. This, sorry, brother, it came up. Sounds like she's talking right there. Well, Jerome, don't laugh too hard. If things get worse, and if things get to a point where this situation kind of makes us delay some games, cancel some games. Listen, all it's going to take is one game where you find out one person is positive and then 20 other people catch it. Your situation might be something they have to do. Shut it down, make it be all about the divisions, and then we'll see. I'm telling you, it could happen. It absolutely could. Marquis said they even had the lead after the pass interference. They're just whiners. The Saints are always going to be whiners, folks. Listen, the only thing that separates the Falcons from the Saints, unfortunately, is Brett Favre not throwing the ball across his body in that playoff game. He doesn't do that, folks. The Saints-Falcons rivalry is just as even as it always been. Drew Brees, as great as he is, I'm sorry. The rivalry is just as even when you go back there. When you go back to that ill-fated play that Brett Favre basically screwed the Atlanta Falcons franchise now, because we're always going to be stepchildren to the Saints until we win. But what I tell you what happens is, and this is going to be something I know y'all going to respond to, and hear me out. Matt Ryan wins the Super Bowl this year. Matt Ryan jumps ahead of Drew Brees. If he wins the Super Bowl this year, Matt Ryan jumps ahead of Drew Brees as far as on the hierarchy. Because tell me aside to throw for a lot of garbage yards during losing seasons, because if you look at the winning seasons, Drew Brees doesn't throw a lot in the winning seasons. In the losing seasons, go look at the losing seasons and see how much he's thrown. Has Drew Brees really done anything that great? He won a Super Bowl, so you got to give him credit for that. How long ago was that Super Bowl? My daughter, who's 10, wasn't born. That's a long time ago. Give him his due for winning. Matt Ryan wins the Super Bowl this year. That'll be 2 appearances. That'll be 1 MVP that Drew Brees has never won. And Matt is already on his tail as far as yards are concerned. 1 Super Bowl win, all that talk goes away. Jones says a dreamer can dream. Marlon, who does Tampa Bay has at running back? You know what, Marlon? I forgot the brother from USC that ran all over us the last game of the year. Jones. Ronald Jones. Jones? I think his name, Ronald Jones. He actually played pretty good. Gabriel says Kamara isn't a number 1 running back. And I know what you mean. Yeah, he's a good running back, but you're right. He's not a 20 carry running back. Epic, I think the Falcons are the sleeper in the NFC South. Absolutely. My brother Jonathan, how you doing, man? Good to have you come in tonight. We were just talking about some of these ill-fated picks here they have in these magazines. Everyone's picking Atlanta to be 3rd in the NFC South. I don't believe it, but we're just going over how the nation feels about us. And I know you up on the up there in the Jersey, New York area, I'm pretty sure there's not a lot of respect going on for the Falcons as well. But that's what we were discussing and how we match up against Tampa Bay and New Orleans this year. Brother Ricky, how you doing, man? Good to see you, bro. Brandon says if Ryan wins the Super Bowl, he passes Brees and Rodgers. Very good point. He probably does pass Aaron Rodgers as well. Jerome, most definitely Matt has better stats beside the NFL giving New Orleans Super Bowl. I can agree with that too. All of it ends. All that bad talk will cease as if Ryan wins a chip. And that's the thing. I truly think if that happens, he does. I think he immediately jumps to the top of the list. Brother Miles, how you doing? Steve, tell us how the New Jersey feels. Oh, that's where Jonathan comes in. Jonathan is the expert on the area up there. I know Jonathan still hosts a show up there in the New York area. And just make sure you guys check him out when you get a chance. Some good stuff up there. Good sports talking. He reps Atlanta all the time. Trust me. Before I get ready to wrap things up in the next few minutes, I wanted to talk about Cam Newton. And I saw thank you, Lisa, for pointing it out to me, the little talk with that Victor Cruz had with Odell Beckham, Cam Newton, and Todd Gurley. It's really good stuff just to hear players kind of, just talk about their situations. And all of them are with teams that they didn't start with, and now they're with other teams. And more of a prove-it moment, if you ask me. Cam Newton has always been one of those folks to me. And I know he's a local guy, so, I know a lot of people have a lot of love for him here in the Atlanta area, and I get it. Never was a big Cam fan at Auburn, but all due respect to him, I mean, he basically was the best player that year in college. I mean, he was unstoppable that year. So give him his total credit. And when he went to Carolina, I was wondering how he would translate to the NFL, and especially in NFC South. Now, the Falcons have basically dominated Cam, but he did elevate Carolina's play, and they made the playoffs a couple of times. And as we know, won the MVP and went to the Super Bowl the year before the Falcons did. Since that time, Cam, I think his body started betraying him for some of the first years he had when he was still. Listen, when you got that much athleticism, see Mike Vick, see Lamar Jackson, you have to put it on display and you have to use it. And I get that. But for somebody as big as Cam and as talented as he is, I almost wish he would have kind of started preserving himself a little earlier. Well, the last 2 years, he has been a little bit broken down. His shoulder has betrayed him, and he's had a lot of little injuries here and there. So when I saw this special that Lisa brought to my attention, and it got to the point where Cam was airing his grievances, I can't help but to notice that every time I listen to Cam talk, Cam seems like he really wants to be loved. And I'm wondering, is that the right approach? He wants that adoration. He wants that big time. Look at me, big time. I'm the man. Big time. Tell me how great I am. Thing at the quarterback position at the NFL. Now the Carolina situation, if you didn't see the writing on the wall, I mean, you had to be Stevie Wonder because you're coming off the second year in a row where you kind of broke. They had the other little quarterback, Greer, playing basically at the end of the year. And you had a new owner come into the team, and you were due a non-guaranteed contract. I could have told you last year Cam wasn't going to be in Carolina. But when he was talking, it was just interesting to me. He seems like, well, I'm going to take it out on all the teams that passed over me. I'm going to take it out on all the blah, 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 blah. And though Gurley and Odell, who is another character, had similar stories, it just seems like Cam takes it so personally. And I'm just saying to myself, brother, you going to the best franchise in the last 10 to 15 years. You can prove everything on the field without opening your mouth. And I think that, to me, is an attribute that I don't want my quarterback to have. You don't need to be telling me how you felt disrespect. You know what I need you to do? I need you to get a first down. I need you to win. And I promise you, Bill Belichick, more than anything else, wants to win. Don't you think that right now he's saying to himself, I see the cat down there in Tampa, and they're going to be looking to see whether he's successful or I'm successful. So they took a chance on taking a flyer on Cam Newton. Cam Newton, you are in the best situation to succeed. Shh. Why are you worried about what Carolina did? Shh. Why are you worried about people that passed you over? I mean, why? You are on the most successful franchise, I say 15 years, probably over the last 20 years. And granted, a lot of that was with Brady, but the guy who was the architect is still there. The offensive coordinator is still there. And he did say something in that interview, which I agree. Josh McDaniels about to call some plays he's never called before. Because Cam's potential talent is pretty good. I just need my quarterback to shut up a little bit when it comes to that. You know, Cam, at best, is a very eccentric guy, and I understand that. And I know he a little touchy-feely, and you can tell in some of those interviews when he loses, see the Super Bowl and all of that. But I just think as my starting quarterback, I just don't want to hear all that whining. I don't want to hear that. And I'm not even talking about the greats. I'm not even talking about the Mannings and the Bradys and the stuff like that. Yeah, they get ticked off every now and then. But how come every time I see a Cam Newton, he crying about something? Dude, I'm going to need your big 6'5", 200 whatever pound solid self to just play, man. I'm going to be humble. They want me to be humble. Define humble for you, and it's not Cam Newton. Dude, play ball. Go win. I just, and even though he's in a whole nother division, they don't play us this year unless we both go to the Super Bowl or something like that. I don't know why I'm rooting for Jared Stanton to get the job now. Because I'm not sure he's going to have the temperament. You think things are bad now. Lose that second and third game of the year and go up there at that Boston media. You had it easy in Charlotte. Cam, how are you feeling? Do you think Cam, do you think you'll be able to, them Boston people, Cam, why did you slide instead of throwing the ball out there to Edelman in the wide open? What do you think? Cam, do you think that was a smart play for you to do that? Oh, they're going to eat himself alive. They're going to eat him alive up there in Boston. If he even shows any type of... So I just say all that diatribe to say, man, just Cam, just play ball, man. Play ball. You're a good quarterback. Nobody's doubting that. Just play ball. I just so reminded of that 2015 season. It would have been a great story for him to win that Super Bowl and have that ring, because he probably would have been validated as one of the better athletes. He won in college and won then. But I don't know. It's one thing to say you love the game when you're a little kid and blah, blah, blah. But yeah, I need my quarterback to just be a little more mature than that. I do. I'm not trying to say you go around with a suit and tie and don't show any emotion at all. But I'm just saying, yeah, dude, I'm gonna need you to grow up from some of that. I really do. I don't know. Anyway, I'm sorry, I did a lot of talking on that. Let's see, let's go down. Marlon, will Ryan haters go away if we win the Super Bowl? Absolutely, they will. They will. You win a ring, they're going. Look at Drew. Okay, just perfect example. Drew Brees. Drew Brees won that ring back in 2009. Drew Brees probably should have been gone 2 years ago. Aside of throwing 5-yard slants to Michael Thomas, the overrated Michael Thomas. I don't even think Michael Thomas. I think Michael Thomas is a top 5 receiver, and he's number 5. It takes a lot to catch passes in the NFL, I'm sure. But let's not act like Michael Thomas was taking the tops off of defenses this year. When I look at Julio, when I look at Hopkins, when I look at Mike Evans, when I look at Tyreek Hill, and I look at Antonio Brown not even playing. Those are guys that take the tops off of defenses. If I wanted a 5-yard and in guy, I'd get Terrence Mathis. But anyway. Miles, how do you feel about Cam going to the Patriots? I just told you that. Ricky, and I don't believe that mess. How can Tampa be anointed the NFC champs when Brady can't throw down the field? Arians' system is meant for downfield passes of 20 yards or more. Jameis had the arm, but not the accuracy. Gronk ain't the same Gronk. The New Orleans Saints secondary is still suspect. Their O-line still has holes. And Carolina Kitty Cats are in rebuild. How are we slated to be third when we've upgraded in almost every area on the field. He shouldn't have paced himself, preserved himself. Talking about Cam. Jerome, Cam missed that college attention. The big leagues know. Yeah, absolutely he did. Absolutely. He loved that. He loved everybody fawning all over him. Absolutely. Brandon, only motivation he needs is to play well, is my home contracts. Get your money, Cam. And that's the thing too, Brandon. You think about that. You're being put in New England, where I know Belichick's going to give you some defense. All I need you is not to go out there and blow it. So if you go out there and become, 11-5, 12-4, you're right. You're looking for that $30, $35 million contract. That's a good, very good point. Ricky said, that's all. We don't need to see any. Y'all ain't seen this Cam. I ain't seen this Cam video. Just play. And that's the, I didn't even mention those stupid videos. Yeah, y'all ain't seen me before. Oh, y'all done woke up the beast. Well, so you're saying that you ain't been up the last 10 years? So the beast was inside. Now the beast is coming out. I needed the beast in the Super Bowl. I needed the beast when the ball was fumbled and you were supposed to dive back on the ball. That's when I needed the beast. Now we get the beast because Carolina lets you go. I get it. Whatever. Right. He's number 5. It's easy to take 5-yard checkdowns on the field. 80% of the time, talking about my brother, Michael Thomas. Rusty says he's got a chip on his shoulder now. Pats might mess around and win the AFC East. Yeah. Winning the AFC East is, Falcons will go win the AFC East this year. Lisa, did you see this on social media where several NFL players were posting that they're concerned because the NFL doesn't seem to have a plan regarding their salary in COVID-19? They were using the "we want to play" tag. I did see that earlier today when they were talking about, listen, DeMaurice Smith is one of those cats that will bring a lot of things to light that those players are thinking about. I think they're going to truly work something out. Again, football has the advantage that we still have, even if you're going to camp, we still have a little bit of time before things become official. The NFL, more than NBA, more than the NHL, more than the MLS. Lord, what's going on with the United? More than anyone needs football to be on TV this year. They'll work anything out with the play. They just did their new deal. So I think in light of the things that are happening with COVID, I think you'll see the owners come back and say, you know what? We're not going to just leave you hanging out there. But I'm sure the NFL, the players want to play, without a doubt. They really do. Yeah. Ricky said too much dab, but not enough ball play. Ricky, I keep thinking about it. Lisa, I know you were at this game as well. You remember in 2015 when Carolina was undefeated, and we went up there and Carolina drug us. And anybody who has the NFL Game Pass, please go back and do it. Because if you want any motivation to not like Cam Newton, that would have been the game. Because even when you're winning like that, it's just whatever. That was the game when the guys were taking the pictures on the sidelines. They were just living it up. And Cam, I just never forget this picture of him running down the sideline, and he had this grin on his face. And I promise you, and I know I'm missing to you, but he's running, just like a little 5-year-old girl, and I mean, and whatever, but just like a little kid going to the side. And don't get me wrong, if that was the Super Bowl, I would almost understand because that was the end of the year. But they drug us that day. And then we came 2 weeks later. He came to the Georgia Dome, and we spanked that behind. And they scored 1 touchdown, I think, that game. And I'll never forget how he went from running up and down the field celebrating to tucking his little Gatorade towel in his hand, in his little uniform, and running off the field. He did shake Matt Ryan's hand as he was leaving, but running off the field. And that's the little petulant stuff that I don't like. But go back and look. 2015 game where I think they beat us. It was 34-0, 38-0, whatever it was. But go back and look at that. I could not stand that attitude from my quarterback. Not my quarterback. I expect that with somebody else, but not my quarterback. That was just crazy. Lisa says, bless his little heart, such a sore loser. And it is. And it is. It's one thing to love wanting to win, but there's also another thing when you just say, yeah, dude, you just got your butt whooped that day. And I just, yeah, am I biased against that? Yeah, I'm sorry. I will probably never be the biggest Cam fan in the world. So that's what I say. Ricky said the Panthers can win in the AFC East, and they though they're coming to Atlanta to do the same thing. But Julio and Matt went off. That was the Julio catch, boy. That next to nothing is going to beat the Green Bay playoff catch and run, but that catch, when you go look at that and how he caught that ball and how that man landed on his feet, I still don't understand. I don't get how he did that. But that was just some awesome stuff that he did. That was, and I remember us in the stands, and I was in 243 then, and I remember in the corner, they were leading, and I think it was 10-7. And when they threw that pass, and Matt just looked like he was throwing it up. And he threw that pass, and not only did Julio catch it, he caught it, turned around, and landed on his feet. I know y'all seen it. But, man, that dude is good. Julio is the truth, man. Jerome said the NFL will restructure soon. The AFC powder puff, NFC is gridiron. Man, let me tell you something. That AFC East, the mere fact that New England, they should move New England to the AFC North. They should have moved them a long time ago because, yeah, that AFC East is garbage. That garbage. Yeah, the one in the Super Bowl, yeah, I forgot about that one. That was actually pretty good too, Ricky. But, yeah, New England winning all those division championships, it'd be one thing, but the AFC East is garbage. And I think Buffalo's going to win it this year anyway. I think Buffalo is next in line to take that one. Hey, listen, I stayed on here way longer than I thought I was, but I got into the conversations. But listen, y'all have a great night tonight. We'll probably get back up again next week. Hopefully, we'll hear some more positive news about training camps starting on time and things of that matter. Again, look out on my page. I'm going to be putting some stuff about some YouTube videos, little vignettes I'm going to put up to get us into the year and get us good and started. Look for that at the beginning of August. I'll be doing that. But until then, all y'all have a great night. I appreciate y'all paying attention. And again, we'll talk later on. Be safe. Peace and rise up.